Anna was 31 years old, and if someone asked her whether she ever had big dreams in life, the answer would be yes. She used to want to be a singer, someone who could stand on stage and make the whole room fall silent to listen to every note. But reality woke her up fast. After college, she started working as a credit officer at a small bank in Raleigh, North Carolina. It wasn't her dream job, but it was stable and helped her pay off student loans. She met Ken at a college reunion party hosted by one of her friends. He was a close friend of that friend, and they were paired up for a celebrity guessing game. He had an easy laugh, a charming way of speaking, and most importantly, he understood the dream she had set aside. It turned out Ken had also once chased a dream in the arts. He had been in a dance crew in college, but gave it up to follow a business path to make his family happy. They started dating a few weeks after that party. Her mom kept asking when she would settle down and give her a grandchild to hold. And even though Anna wasn't fully ready for marriage, she softened. Ken doted on her, at least in the beginning. Outdoor dinners, surprise gifts like new headphones because he knew she still liked to hum while doing chores. Everything felt like a dream. A year later, they got married. She decided to quit her job at the bank to focus on family. Ken worked for a financial consulting firm in Charlotte. He had a decent income and told her she deserved time to rest after all those busy years. But soon after the wedding, Anna began to learn more about his family. Ken had a younger sister named June, 3 years younger than them. His family said June had suffered nerve damage after a serious fever when she was 8. Since then, she couldn't speak or walk anymore. At first, Anna felt sorry for her, a young woman stuck in a bed and wheelchair. But strangely, June didn't seem as sad as Anna had imagined. Even though she couldn't talk, she communicated through drawings and a letterboard. Anna was unsure at first, but she learned to understand June through her eyes, her smile, and her soft gestures. She remembered once sitting with June on the back porch. Anna pointed to the sky and drew a musical note in the air. June smiled and drew a heart. Anna laughed and signed back. "You understand me?" June nodded, her eyes shining like they had just shared a secret. If June was a gentle light, then her mother-in-law, Stephanie, was a quiet storm. She always looked at Anna with sharp eyes, like Anna was something that could still be returned to the store. Every time Anna stepped into her house, it felt like she was walking into a surprise exam. "Don't leave Ken's shoes lying around like that. He looks like someone with no job," Stephanie would say with a cold voice. "If your husband looks like that, who's going to respect his wife?" Anna would force a smile and quickly put the shoes back into the closet. Everything in that house had to be just right. Towels folded from left to right. Laundry hung by color. Anna wasn't new to perfectionism, but the way Stephanie did things made her feel small. To Stephanie, Ken was still little Kentucky, and Anna, even though she was legally his wife, was still an outsider. After the wedding, they lived in a small apartment about 20 minutes from Ken's parents' house. Somehow, Stephanie always knew when Anna was home alone. She would call, or worse, show up uninvited with a bag of groceries and a list of suggestions, like Anna was a new housekeeper. Anna used to think marriage would bring peace. But slowly, she realized she had joined a family with invisible rules where every word had to please the head of the house, and every sacrifice she made was just something expected. And she never imagined that June, the one seen as silent and helpless, would be the one who changed her life forever. Anna couldn't say when things started to shift. Maybe it was a few months after their first anniversary. Ken stopped smiling when she gave him his morning coffee. He stopped texting to ask if she'd eaten lunch. The small things that once made her feel loved started to vanish. Ken began coming home late more often, saying he had long meetings or that the boss needed him to stay and review documents. On those nights, Anna ate dinner alone, staring at her cold plate, telling herself he was just busy. But the space between them kept growing. When she asked questions, he dodged them. When she stayed quiet, he didn't check in. As Ken became distant, Anna grew closer to June. She visited her often, even though her mother-in-law didn't like it. Anna didn't care. Every time she came, June would be waiting by the window with her sketch pad. She drew little houses, cats with hats, kites in the sky. In her drawings, Anna saw her soul, bright, smart, and far more aware than anyone gave her credit for. Anna began learning sign language at night, after Ken was asleep or busy at his computer. First, she only learned simple signs like hello and thank you, but soon she picked up more. It wasn't just a language. It became a bridge between her and June. Whenever they spoke with their hands, it felt like they escaped the cold world where Stephanie's harsh words still echoed in her ears. "I don't understand why Ken chose someone like you," Stephanie said one evening after Anna had helped June clean her room. "June might like you, but that doesn't mean I have to." Anna didn't respond. Not because she had nothing to say, but because with Stephanie, silence was the strongest answer. Every word Stephanie said felt like she was trying to correct her. And Ken, he never defended Anna. He never disagreed with his mother. Every time Anna mentioned Stephanie's rude comments, he would just shrug. "That's just how Mom is. Get used to it." Eventually, she stopped telling him, and he stopped asking. One early fall evening, with the leaves just starting to turn gold, Anna went to Ken's parents' house with a tray of homemade pumpkin bars. June loved pumpkin bars, and she wanted to surprise her. But as she stepped inside, she saw Ken sitting in the living room with his mom, both laughing, something Anna hadn't seen him do with her in a long time. "You're here tonight?" Ken asked, not sounding the least bit happy. "I made these for June," she replied gently, setting the tray on the table. "You didn't mention you'd be here." "No need to mention it," her mother-in-law cut in, her eyes cold. "Family can come by any time." It sounded warm, but Anna knew it wasn't meant for her. She walked over to June. She was sitting by the window as always, but this time without her sketch pad, just hugging a blue pillow tightly. June looked at her, blinking slowly as if to ask, "Are you okay?" Anna forced a smile and signed, "I'm fine." But at that moment, she realized her hands were shaking. That night, when they got back home, Ken barely said a word. Anna took off her coat, hung it up, then turned to him and asked, "Is there something you're not telling me?" He flinched. "What kind of question is that?" he asked. "I don't know. I just feel like you're not really here anymore." "Not fully." He sighed, staring at the floor for a while before saying, "It's just work. Don't overthink it." There it was again, don't overthink. Anna said nothing more, but she knew her feelings weren't wrong. Something was happening in this family, and she, who was once someone he loved deeply, now felt like an outsider in her own marriage. June was the only light left. But Anna didn't know yet that June's light would be the one to reveal all the secrets Ken and his family had been hiding for so long. About 3 weeks later, on a quiet weekend morning, Anna was making breakfast when Ken walked into the kitchen looking uneasy. He set his phone down on the dining table and gave her a careful look, like he was about to say something important. "Anna, do you have any plans for next week?" he asked with a hesitant tone. She stopped what she was doing and turned to look at him. Lately, Ken rarely asked about her schedule. Her heart started to beat a little faster. "I don't have anything planned." "Why?" Ken paused for a moment before continuing. "My family just decided to take a trip to Hawaii. My parents and me too." Anna was surprised. For a second, she even felt excited. Hawaii. That was the place they once planned to visit for their second anniversary. But the excitement quickly faded when she saw Ken's face. He didn't look like he meant to invite her. "So, what about me?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm, even though the pain of being left out had already started to rise. Ken stared down at the table, avoiding her eyes. "Anna, this time it's just a family trip. Actually, there's something important I want to ask you." A wave of fear washed over her. She took a deep breath. "What is it you want me to do?" He paused, then said, "My family would like to ask you to stay home and take care of June while we're gone." Anna froze, disappointment crashing over her. She had noticed the distance growing between them, but she never thought Ken would leave her out like this. "Take care of June?" she repeated, the disbelief clear in her voice. "Why not bring her along?" Ken sighed. "Mom said it would be too hard for June to travel that far. Plus, she thinks you're the best person to care for her. You're close to June, right?" He said that last part slowly, like he was trying to trap her into saying yes in front of his mother. Just then, the doorbell rang. Anna hadn't even moved yet when Ken walked quickly to open the door. A minute later, her mother-in-law, Stephanie, stepped in, wearing her usual serious face. "I believe Ken already explained everything to you, Anna," she said, her sharp eyes fixed on her. Anna stood in the middle of her small kitchen, feeling a heavy pressure in her chest she couldn't shake. Ken stayed silent beside his mother. "Do you have any objections?" Stephanie asked, her voice daring Anna to argue. Anna was boiling inside, but she didn't show it. Instead, she gave a small smile and replied softly, hiding the deep disappointment rising in her. "No, of course not. I'd be happy to take care of June. Stephanie nodded, clearly pleased. Good. We can enjoy our vacation knowing June will be well looked after. Ken turned away, avoiding Anna's eyes. After his mother stepped outside to wait in the car, he came closer and whispered, I'm sorry, Anna. I didn't mean to put you in a tough spot, but everything's already been arranged. Anna looked up at him, hiding her hurt, and said quietly, Sounds like you made your decision before asking me, didn't you? Ken stayed quiet for a moment, then said under his breath, I didn't have a choice. He walked out quickly, leaving her standing alone in the kitchen, surrounded by silence. Anna had done everything she could to make this family happy, and this was what she got in return, being ignored and left out of important decisions. And yet, in that moment, she realized one thing. At least she wouldn't have to deal with Stephanie's constant criticism for the next few days. That afternoon, Anna went to Ken's parents' house to see June. She was sitting by the window, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw Anna walk in. Anna sat down beside her and signed gently, I'm going to stay here with you for a few days. Okay. June looked up suddenly, her big eyes blinking as she signed back. They left you behind again. Anna was shocked. It was the first time June used the words left behind. But she nodded, not hiding the truth anymore. Yes, they went to Hawaii. June stared at her for a moment, then signed something that made Anna freeze. We have plans too. They'll be surprised. Anna stared at her in disbelief. June just smiled, her eyes holding a quiet, mysterious glow Anna had never seen before. And that's when Anna realized. Maybe June was the one who truly knew all the secrets this family had tried to hide. And what June was about to reveal would show Anna that being left behind this time might actually be the chance she never knew she needed. The next morning, Anna opened the living room curtains at her in-laws' house. Warm spring sunlight poured through the window, softening the space. The house was unusually quiet. Ken's family had left for the airport early that morning. No more Stephanie's complaints. No more judgmental stares over how she swept the floor the wrong way. She made a cup of coffee and brought it into June's room like she always did. June was lying on her side, gazing out the window at the lavender bush her mother had planted last year. Anna knocked softly and stepped inside. I brought coffee, she said gently. I used the vanilla blend you like. June slowly turned her head. And what happened next turned Anna's world upside down. June pushed herself up to a seated position. Anna froze, eyes wide. It felt like someone had muted all sound in the room. Her heart pounded so loud she thought she was dreaming. What are you doing? Anna stammered, unable to hide her shock. June let out a soft laugh. Then unbelievably she spoke. Her voice was gentle yet firm. Calm down. Don't freak out. Anna almost dropped the coffee cup. June, you can talk. You can walk. June stepped out of bed, taking solid steps toward her. No trembling, no hesitation. Completely steady. I never lost the ability to walk or talk, she said calmly. It was all an act. One I had to keep up for years to protect myself. Anna couldn't speak. Memories rushed back, pushing June's wheelchair, comforting her after Stephanie's scolding. Had all of it been fake? Why? She finally asked. Why would you do that? June sat down in a chair and motioned for Anna to sit too. Then she began to speak, her voice clear and even. I'm Ken's half-sister. His dad had me with his first wife. My stepmother, Stephanie, never saw me as part of the family. After my dad passed away, she took full control. I was a burden, something she had to tolerate. When I had a high fever at 10, she didn't take me to the hospital in time. She was the one who told neighbors I had brain damage. When I recovered, I chose to stay silent. Anna could hardly believe what she was hearing. You pretended all these years? Not forever. Just since I realized that the weaker I appeared, the less they paid attention. And the less attention, the more freedom I had. She smiled. You were the only one who saw me as a real person. Not a responsibility. Not a burden. Anna sat there stunned. The pieces started to fall into place. She remembered the knowing looks every time Stephanie lashed out. The quiet smiles, the subtle winks. All along, June had been alert. Watching. Waiting. But why now? Anna asked. Why tell me this now? June stood up, walked to the closet, and pulled out a small suitcase. Because we're going on a trip, she said, her voice upbeat. You didn't really think I'd sit around and watch them have fun in Hawaii, did you? Anna's jaw dropped. You're going to Hawaii? June nodded firmly. Plane, tickets, hotel. Everything's ready. And yes, you have a ticket too. Dad left me some money before he passed. I saved it for the right moment. Anna shook her head, still stunned. June looked more serious now than ever. Anna, you need to see who Ken and his mother really are. You deserve the truth. And trust me, Hawaii is where everything changes. Anna looked into her eyes, no longer timid or passive. Standing before her was a strong woman who had stayed in the shadows long enough, waiting for just the right moment. She took a deep breath. For the first time in months, she felt chosen. Not to serve, not to please, but to finally rise up and face the truth. She smiled. If you're ready, then so am I. Let's go. June nodded, her smile blooming. And just like that, the journey began. Not just to Hawaii, but toward the truth behind the marriage Anna once believed was peaceful. The flight took off early in the morning, just after sunrise. Anna sat beside June in the economy cabin of a domestic airline, still feeling a little breathless. Everything had happened so fast. Just yesterday, she had quietly accepted her role as the one left behind. And now she was flying to Hawaii with the sister-in-law everyone thought was helpless. June wore a loose white shirt and simple jeans. Her hair was tied back, sunglasses on, looking like any confident young traveler. Every now and then, she turned to flash Anna a playful smile, like they were winning a secret game only the two of them knew about. Still shocked, Anna tilted her head as the flight attendant handed them drinks. She exhaled and shook her head slightly. Not shocked exactly, just, I never imagined things could turn around like this. Sometimes, June said, sipping her orange juice, it takes a shock to wake us up from a bad dream. Anna stayed quiet. She was right. She had been living in a distorted dream for too long, believing in love and family, in what she thought was real. After nearly 6 hours in the air, they landed at Honolulu Airport under the blazing sun. June hailed a taxi she had pre-booked, taking them to a luxury beachfront resort in Waikiki. Blue ocean, white sand, salty breeze. Hawaii was breathtaking, but Anna hadn't come here to relax. At the front desk, everything had already been paid for in June's name. She quickly handed Anna her room key and subtly signed for her to stay quiet since staff were nearby. Once they got to their room, Anna couldn't hold back anymore. June, where did you get the money for all of this? She asked quietly. June took off her sunglasses, smiling with that same mysterious calm. Dad left it for me. I kept it safe, untouched, until it really mattered. But your plane ticket, the hotel, the taxi, all of that must have been really expensive. Dad told me to live for myself. And I feel like this is the moment. Anna nodded, her eyes fixed on the ocean outside the window. Where are we going to see them? June pulled out her phone, opened a restaurant reservation app, and showed it to her. Tonight at 7 p.m. poolside restaurant. His mom booked a table for 6 o'clock. Just like their family tour schedule. And you're sure they don't know we're here? Positive. I booked us in the same resort, but a different building. They won't run into us, unless we want them to. Anna and June spent the whole day resting in the room, snacking on fruit and crackers. June suggested she try to forget everything for a while, but Anna couldn't stop thinking about what was coming. She felt like she was stepping into a grand play. Except this time, she wasn't a passive audience member. She was the main character, about to walk onto the stage. Around 6 p.m., June did her makeup lightly, tied her hair up, and put on an emerald silk jacket. Anna chose a long navy dress, simple but elegant. They both looked different, not like the women who were underestimated back home, but like two people in control. On the way down to the restaurant, June squeezed her hand. They're going to be shocked, she whispered. But don't get too angry. Let them expose themselves. Anna nodded, her heart pounding. As they approached the poolside restaurant, they hid behind a row of palm trees. June whispered, "That's her." Anna's stomach dropped. "You mean she's the one Ken's been seeing?" "I saw messages from an unknown number on Mom's phone when she left the table," June said. "They called her the backup plan." Anna said nothing. Her head was spinning. She looked back at the table, where her husband was smiling brightly, like she never even existed. He leaned in and whispered something to the woman, making her laugh hard and place her hand gently on his shoulder. June looked at her. "Ready?" Anna tightened her grip on June's hand, a cold smile forming on her lips. "Yeah, time for the real show to begin." They positioned themselves behind a row of palm trees, just a few steps from Ken's family table. Under the warm lights, glasses clinked and laughter filled the air. Her mother-in-law, Stephanie, was raising her glass of wine, her face beaming. No trace of the cold, judgmental woman who had thrown so many criticisms at Anna. But what really stunned Anna was the sight of Ken sitting so close to that unfamiliar woman. She looked polished, young, confident, her hand resting casually on Ken's like it belonged there. There wasn't a hint of guilt on his face. No sign that he had just left home, abandoning his wife to care for a sister supposedly unable to walk. Not one check-in, not one look of regret. June quietly slipped a small phone with an earpiece into Anna's hand. "I placed a recorder under their table before they arrived," she whispered. "I'm sure they'll say something you should hear." Anna slid the earpiece in. Her hands went cold as their voices rang clearly in her ears. "She's never been anything special," Stephanie said sharply. "Hasn't done a thing for this family. If you're divorcing her, at least." Ken's voice followed, low and firm. "I'll figure something out. Maybe say she's emotionally neglectful. My lawyer says if we play it right, I won't have to give her a dime. I could even come out ahead." The girl next to you looks promising," Stephanie chuckled. "Compared to Anna, like gold next to rotting wood." Anna pulled the earpiece out, her lips pressed into a tight line. June looked at her, not asking, just waiting. Anna nodded. They stepped out from the shadows and walked straight toward the table. She moved slowly, each step echoing against the wooden deck of the outdoor restaurant. Ken looked up first. The stunned look on his face nearly made her laugh. Stephanie froze, her hands still midair, wine glass suspended. "Good evening," Anna said, her voice strong and clear. "Hope everyone's enjoying dinner." "Anna," Ken stammered. What are you doing here?" Before she could reply, June stepped forward. All eyes turned to her, and without saying a word, she calmly walked over to the table and pulled out a chair across from her stepmother. You're walking." Stephanie could barely speak. "I've been walking and talking just fine since last year," June said, her voice soft but icy. "You always liked to see me as a burden. I just played along to help you live in that illusion." Silence fell over the table. The woman next to Ken quickly pulled her hand away, her face going pale. Anna pulled out her phone, opened the voice recording, and hit play on speaker. "If you're divorcing her, at least reclaim the assets." Stephanie's voice. "Say she's emotionally neglectful." Ken's voice. Other diners began to notice. Curious stares turned toward their table. Ken shot up from his chair, his voice shaking. "What are you doing? Are you seriously trying to humiliate me in public?" Anna looked him straight in the eye and said, each word sharp and clear, "You've been doing that to me for over a year, just not in public." Stephanie snapped. "Anna, we can explain." "No need," she cut her off. "I've heard enough. And I have the proof. I'll be speaking with my lawyer as soon as I get back. This divorce won't be quiet." Ken rushed toward her, trying to grab her hand, but she stepped back and raised hers to stop him. "And you," she said, her voice colder than ever, "you'd better be ready to face the consequences of your lies." The woman next to him stood up, clearly trying to leave, but June called after her. "You might want to prepare to meet with a lawyer too. I'm sure you know what you've gotten yourself into." Ken clenched his fists, his face burning with rage and shame. "You're ruining my life," he hissed. Anna laughed, calm and unshaken. "You already did that yourself, Ken. I just pulled back the curtain." Then she turned and walked away with June, leaving behind the soft lights, expensive wine, and a table full of lies. Ken ran after them, his footsteps pounding along the stone path. Anna didn't turn around, but June glanced back at him, her eyes cold as ice. "Anna, you can't do this," Ken shouted, his voice cracking, no longer composed. "You're trying to destroy my life." Anna stopped walking, turned around, and looked straight into the eyes of the man who used to be her husband. "No, Ken, you did that to yourself. I'm just the one showing the truth. But if the company finds out, I could lose my job." His voice trembled, filled with fear. Standing next to Anna, June crossed her arms and tilted her head, her tone full of sarcasm. "Oh, then maybe you should have thought about that before taking your mistress on vacation and trash-talking your wife while she was home caring for your paralyzed sister." Ken turned to her, speechless in shock. Anna shook her head. "I didn't come here to cause a scene," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But you and your mother pushed me past my limit. Now you'll have to deal with the consequences." Right then, the restaurant manager arrived with 2 security staff. One of them spoke politely but firmly. "Excuse me, sir. You're disturbing the other guests. We're going to have to ask you to leave the dining area." Ken opened his mouth to protest, but when he saw the stares from nearby tables, he fell silent. He let the security team escort him out, looking like someone who had just caused a public scene. Anna stood still, watching until his figure disappeared behind the glass doors. As for Stephanie, she didn't say a word the entire time. Her hand gripped her wine glass tightly, as if letting go would shatter everything. When Anna walked away, she remained frozen. Her eyes weren't proud anymore, just hollow, like someone who had just lost all the control she once held. Anna and June walked back to their room without speaking. They both knew things were only going to get more complicated. But a strange sense of relief flooded through Anna. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't stuck in a role someone else had cast her in. The next morning, she made a call to North Carolina and contacted a law firm recommended by an old college friend. Though the friend no longer worked there, they arranged a meeting for her with an attorney named Judith Micah. Her voice was calm, steady, and firm. It gave Anna confidence from the very first minute. Anna told her everything. The cold marriage, the betrayal, the voice recording, and how Ken took another woman on vacation while leaving her to care for June. She didn't leave out a single detail. Judith nodded. You're entitled to file for divorce with clear evidence of infidelity. And given your husband's job status, we can also request post-divorce financial support. If that woman had a romantic relationship with him during the marriage, you can file a third-party interference claim against her as well. Anna paused, then said firmly, I want to do everything legally possible to seek justice. We'll take care of the rest, Judith said with a reassuring smile. And trust me, you're not alone in this. In the following weeks, everything moved quickly. Her lawyer gathered solid evidence, hotel bills, photos, audio recordings, and messages June helped retrieve from her stepmother's old phone. It was all added to the case file. A month later, Anna received the official notice. Ken was ordered not only to divide the marital assets, but also to pay spousal support for the next 3 years. On top of that, the other woman, Melline Harper, was sued for alienation of affection with a civil compensation demand. When the first payment hit her account, Anna looked at the number on the screen and didn't feel triumphant. Instead, she felt like she had reclaimed her voice. Not because of the money, but because finally, no one else could define her worth. June handed her a glass of non-alcoholic apple cider, her smile glowing. Congratulations. No one can ignore you anymore. They clinked glasses, and the smile on Anna's face felt as soft and steady as the ocean breeze that day. 3 months passed since the court ruling, and Anna's life looked completely different now. The small apartment she once rented while living with Ken had been replaced by a top-floor unit overlooking Pullan Park in downtown Raleigh. She moved closer to her old college like she was hitting the reset button, but this time with a heart no longer afraid. She returned to finance, but now worked as an independent consultant. She chose the projects she enjoyed, worked with clients she respected, and most importantly, she had the power to say no to anyone who made her feel unsafe. No more manipulation through fake words, belittling looks, or cold indifference like Ken and his mother once used on her. She still stayed close with June. After everything, they were not just former sisters-in-law. They were survivors, women who chose to rise instead of settle. June moved in with a close friend in Asheville, and finally started the graphic design course she'd always dreamed of. She once said, "You were the first person who believed in me enough for me to live honestly." Anna smiled. Her bravery had lit a fire in her too. One quiet weekend afternoon, while Anna was tending to her balcony plants, the doorbell rang. She was a little surprised. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, she saw Ken and Stephanie. Both of them looked nothing like she remembered. Gaunt, dark circles under their eyes, clothes worn out. Stephanie no longer carried her powerful presence. Instead, she looked drained. "Anna," Ken spoke first, his voice low and weak. "I know this is unexpected, but could you help us?" Anna stood silent, not inviting them in, not saying a word. He went on. "I lost my job. After the lawsuit, they let me go without pay. Melline, she left me when she found out I had nothing. And my dad walked out on her. She's out of money. It's just us now." Anna looked at Stephanie. She lowered her head, something Anna didn't think she'd ever seen her do before. "Anna, I was wrong. So wrong," Stephanie said softly. "But I have no one else now. I just hope you can help us through this." The silence lingered. Only the wind rustled through the trees outside. Anna tilted her head slightly, then spoke slowly. "Funny, I once begged the two of you for just a little kindness. And now it's your turn. Anna, I know you hate me, Ken stammered. But I've realized my mistakes. I truly have. Just a little help. Anna cut in. I don't hate you, Ken. I just regret wasting so much time thinking you were worth it. Stephanie's eyes were red. You can't be this heartless. Anna smiled softly. I'm not heartless. I've just learned how to set boundaries, and mine is this. I won't go back to anyone who once disrespected, used, or betrayed me. She calmly closed the door before they could say another word. Before heading back inside, she walked to the corner of the balcony, opened the jar of sea salt she'd prepared earlier, and sprinkled it along the threshold. Her own little ritual, a way to sweep away whatever darkness had once entered her life. She didn't believe in superstition, but she did believe in symbols. And to her, that handful of salt was a clear declaration. The past no longer had a place in her present. Inside the apartment, the sunset was casting the western sky in a brilliant orange hue. Anna sat on the sofa, hugging the knitted pillow June once gave her, and felt her heart completely at peace. Not all endings were perfect, but some endings were necessary. And for her, this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of a life lived in silence, and the beginning of a life she chose for herself. From her own experience, Anna realized that sometimes strength wasn't about holding on to a relationship. It was knowing when to let go. She had been betrayed, dismissed, and left behind. But those very things helped her rediscover her worth. Life didn't end when someone walked away from her. It truly began when she decided to move forward for herself.